What's up with it? It's your boy Expat D. So, California, the so called dream state. You got beaches, palm trees, Hollywood. But let me tell you the truth. I packed my bags, left California for a life abroad. Okay? And I'm not going back. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 reasons why I said goodbye to California for good. And trust me, some of these will shock you. Anyway, I'm Expat D. I've been living out of the country consecutively for the past 7 years, or excuse me, 8 years. It's been 8 years. And yeah, I've been to over 35 different countries. I'm an expat now, and but I'm originally from California. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not to hate on California. This is where I'm from. Okay. And I'm proud to be from California. I feel like we have a certain mentality. Okay. And this is why I'm open minded enough to uh, go to different places and try out different environments because that's just the way we live our life in California. But I'll tell you what, when you get a chance to travel and open your horizons, you might discover something that you didn't know it was out there. Okay, they may open up your perspective. Anyway, on to my list. I've got 7. So number 1, you have the homelessness crisis everywhere. Now, don't you think it's strange that in California is one of the richest states in America, but you can't drive through Los Angeles or San Francisco without seeing homelessness? Okay, it seems like you see a tent on every block. Okay, I mean, abroad, I don't see poverty displayed on every corner like I do in California. Okay, it's getting ridiculous, just the homelessness crisis, and I just don't see why they haven't come up with a solution. You know, our tax dollars go towards fixing this stuff, and it just seems to get worse and worse every single year. And I'll tell you what else, not just homelessness. When I look at some of the solutions that people are resorting to, it's almost like you dang near, it's like you're almost homeless anyway. Like I've seen stuff where people are like living in storage containers. I remember I was looking, I think it was like Craigslist or something some years ago, and people were renting their closet. And they were, imagine, and they're getting good money. They're getting like $2,000 a month, like to live in a closet in like San Francisco. It's crazy the things that they resort to. I've seen storage containers. I've seen like the storage units, cars, vans. I just can't do it. If it reaches that point, it's time to go. I don't love a place that much to live there in like a storage facility and be quiet and sneak around and stuff and probably got like pee in a bottle. I don't even know how you do it. Number 2. It's crazy. Okay, number 2, we crime and safety concerns. I mean, have you seen how many people's cars are being broken into, particularly in like Oakland? It's crazy. I mean, it's like the police just gave up. So, and people told me Africa would be dangerous, but guess what? I feel less safe walking through, certain California cities at night than I do abroad. And that says a lot. But yeah, just the way shoplifting is being handled, and just crime and safety and like the police response, it's very alarming, very alarming. Yep. I don't know if you can hear the background. I know I got a pretty nice mic. I'm currently in the Middle East, okay, working. And just to know, just in case you hear that, I don't know if you hear that background. Now they have these little prayer calls or whatever. Anyway, another one is traffic. Okay, traffic and commute nightmare. So California traffic literally would drain your soul, right? Hours in the car every day just to get to work or buy groceries. So abroad, I spend more time living life than not sitting on a freeway. And here's the thing, depending on the country, there's there's just a lot of flexibility when it comes to transportation. Okay, like I've lived in several different countries outside of America, and some countries they're big on like bikes and scooters, right? Some countries they're big on just walking. Some cars, but it seems like you have more flexibility. And of course, there's traffic in other countries, but it depends, you know. And then also that goes hand in hand with like the cost of living. A lot of times there's a lot of traffic in California because people have to spread out far to get like a decent neighborhood and a decent cost of living, or the best they can do, I'll say, because I don't think the cost of living is that great. But it causes it's nothing in California to like commute 45 minutes for work, right? And like I think if I drove 45 minutes from where I'm at, I'd be in a different country. Yeah. So anyway, number 4, the culture of flexing over living. Okay, so in California, you know, everyone's trying to show off the car, the house, the lifestyle, even if they're drowning in debt. So abroad, I found that, you know, people focus more on enjoying life than just trying to impress strangers. And that's the problem. People are drowning in debt and to try to buy things to impress who? That's what I don't know. Who are you trying to impress? Just strangers, putting on a front. And you know, when you're abroad, I don't think people care as much about that stuff. Then I think people just kind of assume you have a certain status anyway when you're coming from a place like America. So you just you naturally are given like a certain level of respect in most places. You don't feel so invisible like you do in the States. So that's something to consider. You know, it's a lot less having to put on a front when you're abroad. You could more likely you could be yourself. I just don't feel as judged. You know, if I have it, like I have a pretty nice car here. It's, you know, relatively newer, but I felt like if I did it, I don't really feel like I'd be judged any differently. It just so some of those things, because you're in a new environment, it just doesn't it doesn't feel the same way as it does in the States, as far as feeling the need to have to impress others. Okay, number 5, you got wildfires and natural disasters. Okay, so every summer in California, it feels like a disaster movie. Okay, you got wildfires, smoke-filled skies, power outages. So abroad, I don't have to worry if my home is going to burn down or if the air is safe to breathe. Okay, so that's something where I'm not saying that doesn't exist abroad, but you can get away from that. You know, that's one thing I don't miss from California. Okay, and number 6, you have the rat race mentality. Okay, so in California, you're constantly told to hustle, grind, push harder, but for what? Okay, I just think people are just kind of, it's almost like they're drunk. So many people are neck high in debt, and they're busy working one job, two jobs. They got a bunch of debt, and it's just like you can't even think when you have that type of pressure on you, and you can't even foresee. You know, I was lucky to wake up and say, you know what, I'm done. I don't really believe that my situation is going to get any better, and so I'm glad I was able to, I guess how you say, unplug from the matrix, because now I'm finally able to at least put myself in a situation where I can improve my life. You know, and that's something that I just couldn't see happening in California. You know, as much pride and ego that I have, I had to come to terms of reality that I'm not going to get ahead like this. I just am not. All right, and that brings us to number 7. So the world is bigger than California. So California makes you feel like California is the center of the universe. But when I stepped out, I realized that the world was massive, you know, full of opportunity, full of cultures and experiences. that I would never have found if I stayed. That's why I'm not saying that I'm never going to go back to visit, but I have no intentions of living there. I just don't see myself um, progressing to the level that I can from abroad. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not, I'm not saying I don't like the place, but hey, I've got to make the decision to try to improve myself and my family's. So hey, if you're a California refugee, man, let me know in the comment section. If you had to leave, or you're someone that's interested in leaving, check out my content. I'm Expat D. I've traveled to over 35 different countries, and I have a lot of tips and tricks. If you're interested in being an expat and you want to try your luck somewhere else, okay? I'm going to end this video here. I want you to like, share, subscribe if you like this type of content. I'm Expat D. Peace and I'm out.